Hello guys, this is Aoshira and I will be covering the 5 types of narcissists and the um, the types of the way narcissistic abuse looks like in a relationship. So without further ado, let's get started. I have all this in my notebook. So, number 1, we will go through the 2 types of narcissism, which is then divided into subcategories that we all are quite familiar with. So the 2 main types of narcissism are adaptive and maladaptive narcissism. The adaptive narcissism is also known as the healthy narcissism, that manifests and shows up as assertiveness, confidence, ambition, leadership, and resilience. As in, you're very self-assured, you're confident in yourself, and the positive traits that we would want in us. The second type of narcissism is maladaptive narcissism. Now, maladaptive narcissism is extreme narcissism, projected insecurity, grandiosity, lack of empathy, manipulative, and entitlement, as well as envy, which is more frequent to the type of narcissism we know of, so the maladaptive narcissism. We will now go through the 3 lesser known types of narcissism. So number 1 is malignant narcissism. The malignant narcissist, who has sadistic tendencies, so finding pleasure in other people's suffering or happiness. Malignant narcissists are also very manipulative and deceitful. They lie a lot and very aggressive and hostile. But the thing about them is that they have their delusions, and their delusions are often mixed with paranoia. So they might think of themselves as like someone who's very successful and someone who is just a great person who is an inflated sense of self, but they have paranoia that people are like out to get them, basically. Number 2 is the antagonist narcissist, who is aggressive, finds themselves always competing because they're not self-assured. They always want to feel like they're better than others, hence their competitive nature. They also resort to extreme gaslighting and intentional manipulation, as well as exploit weaknesses of others to show that they're better compared to them, and then deliberately provoking others and turning, like, for example, a group of friends against each other, and they thrive in conflict and create frequent conflicts amongst others. And as every other narcissist, they lack empathy. Number 3, this is a very unusual type of narcissism. It's this type of narcissist, called a communal narcissist, are they find their validation in helping others. But again, they only help others to prove and to show that they are better than others, and they only help each other for personal gain, so external validation. Now, communal narcissists, they help others, but they make sure that they draw attention to how selfless and helping they are every chance they get. I mean, I'm not saying that people that show that they're nice people and they do nice things, they're not just doing that to gain validation, but I am saying it is that these people need recognition from others, with how nice they are, based on how helpless and how giving they are with money, donations, volunteering, etc. They exploit other people's needs and help them for personal gain. So, getting a better reputation and just maintaining their nice person or good guy image in front of others. Now, I'll be going over the two more common types of narcissists called covert and overt narcissists. Now, from experience, I have met both types of narcissists. Number one, the overt type of narcissist. So, an overt narcissist, we all know them. They need admiration. They're, very charismatic. They're extroverted. They lack empathy, as well as the covert narcissist. They focus on external validation, status, and appearance. They are arrogant. They flaunt, whether it be how many people that want them, their money, and just arrogant about how they're just so wanted, because status, what they really care about is status and external validation. They do lack self-reflection, so they shift blame to every other person for their own problems because they do not look inside of themselves. The very specific example of an overt narcissist would be someone who is fishing for compliments. This is from personal experience. And overt narcissists are extremely manipulative, which I feel like wouldn't be very intuitive because of how extroverted they are, but they are very manipulative. Let's move on to covert narcissists. Covert narcissists, they have a victim mentality. Number one, they manipulate, but they manipulate very subtly. So they guilt trip, they have passive-aggressive comments, and one of the things that's most prevalent between both these types of narcissists is that they gaslight and they project onto others. So they make sure that their perception of reality, their twisted perception of reality, is what is known by everyone, and they project their own shortcomings onto others because they lack accountability. They seem humble compared to the overt narcissist who hides their insecurities using arrogance. These people actually do admit and show their insecurities, and at the same time they are very selfless, but for personal gain, because they will do a favor but then ask for something in return. So they're not doing this for the sake of helping. They do this to get something back. Majority of people do this, but yeah. And then they're very sensitive to criticism. Now, I admit I also was very sensitive to criticism, and I would get defensive against others when they'd be criticizing me. But as I have grown, I understood that these are not my shortcomings and I can improve on it as well. But the covert narcissists, when they are met with criticism, they react often with either defensiveness, emotional withdrawal, or they throw tantrums like a little child. Now, from personal experience, I told my ex-partner, that my friends didn't like him. He reacted with, "Why don't they like me?" But and started just like throwing a tantrum about why my friends don't like him, because they cannot digest the fact that people dislike them, because they need that admiration, or else they'll feel worthless and insecure, and it'll raise their insecurities a lot. Last trait of a covert narcissist is that their affection is often conditional. They give and take, but they take more than they give. This is from personal experience. While they would give, right? But they often love bomb, right? They give you so much in such a little amount of time, and then they ask for something in return, and then you keep giving it constantly, but they still want more, right? They often complain about how they're not getting enough. Complain to you, or they complain to like everyone else, which leads me to narcissistic abuse and the types that can be seen here. Number 1 is gaslighting. The victim often doubts their own perception of reality, and they feel as though they're going insane. From personal experience, I can guarantee this is narcissistic abuse. The narcissist denies truths, twists words, twists truths, and belittles the victim to maintain their control over them and to protect their own ego and inflated inflated sense of self. Number 2 is love bombing. These people are either they show grand gestures like buying you flowers consistently, they communicate constantly every single day, every hour, or they use intense flattery, which happened with me. Intense flattery, meaning they compliment you constantly, just bombard you with compliments every day, or every minute, texts you that says that to your face. What their motive is to make the victim feel special, so that they in the end they can take it away and control that victim and have the victim be stuck in a trauma bond. And when they feel as though they're losing control, they resort to these things. They pretend like nothing happened. They love bomb you, and then they take it away. So the cycle keeps repeating, because the victim thinks that the positive version of them is them, but in fact it's just to keep them under control. Number 3, triangulation. Triangulation is when the abuser, the narcissist, brings in a third person, and either they compare them to the victim, or use them as a way to instill insecurity, jealousy, and all these feelings in the victim for them to stay with the narcissist, and also to maintain control over them. Number 4, smear campaigns. Now, personal experience, they do this. They go up to others and talk about how the victim is a really bad person, or how they can even resort to crying, as it was in my case. They can resort to crying. They can resort to be, again, playing the victim in the whole situation in order to discredit the victim and to isolate the victim, because then the people that were that knew both of them, once they hear one side, they then tend to support more the person who actually was crying than a person who was trying to explain themselves. And then often, well, in my experience at least, The narcissist tells the victim how these people don't like them because of how they acted. Again, gaslighting, shifting blame, and using the smear campaign all at once. And the last one, number 5, they neglect or dismiss feelings of the victim, leaving the victim unheard, unimportant, and unloved. And this can really take a toll on the victim's self-esteem. And it's very important for the victim to either start distancing themselves from the abuser or get help. But yeah, that's it for today. And I hope you learned something new. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.